It is Big Mike, the computer dad, and this evening we are going to be purchasing and setting up a brand new Microsoft 365 tenant using Business Premium and then transitioning to Microsoft 365 E5 licensing. Let's get started. The goal of this is to set up a separate Microsoft tenant for additional testing. I want to get the E5 license because in 2026, in the summer of 2026, Microsoft is going to be broadening all of the features and add-ons that are associated with the E5 license, including things for Intune like endpoint privilege management, Intune suite features, and other elements that I want to test. Because I work with this on a daily basis. This is an environment that I play in as far as the Entra suite, Microsoft Defender, all of those things. This gives me the ability to test all of the features that come with E5 and help make architecture and engineering decisions as far as how we implement these services with these additional bolt-ons, and if it might be a value add for organizations with whom I work or just for fun of testing it. That's a great experience too, just learning all the ins and outs of what these different licensing models offer. I have an environment, I have a existing tenant that has a business premium license. That's been my daily driver for testing things like Intune, MDM, MAM, Apple integrations. I have an Apple business account that syncs to that. All of these things have been done through that tenant. I want to break away from that, make that more of my personal tenant that's only doing things for me personally, whereas this test tenant is going to be for absolutely wreaking havoc and breaking all kinds of things to see how it works. There's a little bit of a process to do that. When you go to the E5 page for Microsoft for the enterprise license SKU, you don't have the ability to purchase this directly. You have to purchase it through sales. However, there's an alternative. And I'll show you how we can look at doing that. So as I mentioned, I have a business premium license. I can buy that now and set up a tenant. And then there's a grace period within which I can return that license. Because in my tenant, I have the ability to go to Marketplace and look at the E5 license and choose a subscription that fits my need. In this case, I'm going to do a yearly subscription paid monthly. It's a little bit of a premium. It's not a cheap license. However, it gives me all of these features. The E5 feature, Enterprise Mobility, Security E5, Enterprise E5. That gives me the Pro to Enterprise entitlements for Intune joined devices, Entra joined devices. All of those things are bound in this. This unlocks a lot that I can do in a testing environment. So I'm excited to make this transition. So what we're going to do is walk through the process of getting a new account set up, setting up that initial Microsoft domain, that .on Microsoft domain, adding my test domain, my true test domain. It's going to be tcdlearn.com, just keeping with the computer dad branding. And then start to set up that tenant. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the video, but ultimately this video is going to focus on getting the initial tenant set up, working through the process of getting the business premium license, and then transitioning that to an E5. And if anybody out there has a better way to go about this, I'm all ears. This is the way that I've seen after doing some research of how to get that enterprise license in the tenant, because you can't buy it direct from Microsoft. You have to start with the business premium, order the E5, cancel the business premium, and then that's the sole license in that tenant for purposes of testing. So let's get into it. We're going to go through the process of setting up the new tenant, putting all that information in, recording that, and hopefully at the end of this, we will have a new tenant within which I can test all kinds of cool things. And I'm really looking forward to that. All right, let's get started. All right, so the business premium license we can see here, I can buy now. And again, like with the other subscriptions, as I showed you in the other page, you can choose the subscription. So this is going to be 1 year. I want to be billed monthly because I want the flexibility. And you'll notice if I'm billed yearly, there's a little bit of a discount versus if I'm billed monthly. And that's expected. That's by design, Microsoft trying to lock you in for that period. It's the same way we do it with our corporate and enterprise clients. What I want to do here is monthly. So I'm going to click next. And then it's going to set a work or school email address to set if we need to create a new account. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in there and actually see if it's going to take my computer dad account. Go through a verification process, and then it should send that email. So we're going to create a new account. We're going to use the verification code that it provided. We're going to fill out the relevant information. All right. All right, now that we have the information, and this is where we're creating that .on Microsoft domain. So I want to create that TCD learn based on what my organization is going to be called. So it's going to be tcdlearn.onmicrosoft.com. I own the TCD learn domain. I have that hosted in Cloudflare. So what I'm going to be able to do is set the records so that I can use this email. I can use that entire vanity email and domain for functions like Exchange Online and Teams and all of those other things. So I don't have to use the .on Microsoft by default. So we're going to go through this process. We're going to set a password. We're going to document that password, and we're going to make sure we can log in with our new .on Microsoft account, get that license, and then switch it over to that E5 and continue building. All right, so let's go through that process. All right, so now that we've set that up, we have to put in our payment information, and it gives us the opportunity to process everything. Again, Business Premium has a lot of bang for its buck. What you want to do if you're getting started in the Tenant is get Business Premium. Why? Because if you're looking at things like Intune or Entra or Admin Center, or just looking to click around and figure out what all of these things do, Business Premium for the price point of $23 to $26, whatever it is a month, depending on the subscription model you choose, is reasonably priced to learn this technology. I have done everything in the last year and a half, 2 years that I've had my personal tenant through Intune using a Business Premium license. It has been money well spent, and it's paid dividends because I've been able to develop different solutions, different strategies for deployment, test certain things on devices. I even went so far as I believe I might have mentioned earlier in this video, I have a Apple Business account that I've integrated with that. So when we're looking at all of the features that they're releasing with Mac OS and Platform SSO, I have been able to take those devices through the Apple Business lifecycle directly into Intune, automatically apply profiles, and then do an out-of-the-box deployment. That has been an awesome experience and allows me to understand exactly what the users are going to see and make sure I can tune that for the best experience possible. So once I get this card set up and on file and process it, we'll go back into the portal, and then we will look at how to transition to that E5. Rather, what I'm going to do, and again, if anybody has any feedback for how to do this in a better way, I'm all ears. The goal here is going to purchase an E5 license, set that up for the annual subscription billed monthly, and then cancel the Business Premium. And then that E5 will be assigned to the default account that I created at the tcdlearn.onmicrosoft.com domain. And then my next step is to add my actual domain, tcdlearn.com, get the DNS records set up, and then I'll have the ability to use this tenant with that domain going forward for all the things I want to test. Cross-tenant stuff, which I'm really excited about, and then integrations with AD servers, Entra Connect, the transition from Entra Connect, the Connect Sync to Cloud Sync, all of those things that are coming up. I have the ability to test with E5 and even Business Premium. That's the power of having your own tenant and being able to do this stuff. Can you tell I'm excited about it? I'm super excited about it. All right, let me get this done, and then we'll get back to going through the walkthrough and navigating through the license transition. All right, so now it's going through the process. I've submitted my credit card information. I have hit next as that's processing. So hopefully I don't get a rejected card, but it looks like it's processing here, so it's doing all the things on the back end. So I'm not going to show you the final page only because it has personal information on it, and it's a pain in the butt to blur this stuff out. It shows the review and confirm. It has the Microsoft 365 Business Premium. It is the $23.10 per user per month at a quantity 1, billed monthly for a monthly commit, or an annual commitment rather. And then what we want to do is look at the sold to address, make sure everything looks good, payment method looks good. We'll process that. And then what's important is cancel within 7 days after your first charge to receive a prorated refund. So that's something that you want to look at, because again, you don't want to be billed for 2 licenses. It'll be about $100 a month, give or take, depending on the license subscription that you choose. You'll want to cancel this one after we get it established. We'll cancel this after we order the E5 license. So let's go through that process now. And then what it's indicating is it's going through this process. It's adding the license. It's effectively creating the tenant so that account that I'm creating, which will become a global administrator by default into the tenant, I have it's effectively the God account. It can do everything in that tenant. Now, from a deployment perspective, you're going to want to change that. You don't want your default login to be your GA. With the E5, we have things like privileged identity management that we can play with because we have the Entra ID P2 licenses that unlock that feature. Again, I am excited about the E5 because you get all of those features to test out of the box. It costs a little bit of money, but it's worth testing all of those features and functionalities. So now that that's ordered, we can see that the account's been processed. Let's go over to the screen. We have extra security to your account. We have all of this other information, action required to start using it, set up multi-factor authentication. By default, out of the box, these portals, these tenants have security defaults enabled. So there's security defaults, which is your default Microsoft requirement for things like multi-factor authentication. And then you have conditional access. Because we have the P2 license, we have that conditional access feature. So that's going to be another video of setting up the conditional access policies, defining what those are. Again, I'm trying to determine what curriculum I'm going to follow as we build this out. However, the importance is that by default, it's going to require setting that stuff up. You'll get order confirmation. I get order confirmation to my computer data account, so I'm managing that from my other tenant's email. And then this gives me the ability to click next and set up that account. So we'll see what that looks like. So we get to the modern authentication page. So I have the browser login for tcdlearn.onmicrosoft.com. So we're going to take that password that we set up, and it's going to bring us through the multi-factor authentication process. So those of you familiar with either conditional access or registration campaigns or anything where it prompts you for MFA, you're used to seeing this. It's going to require, by default, the Microsoft Authenticator app, and use that as the multi-factor solution to get into your tenant, which is exactly what you want. You want multi-factor on this. You're setting an account up for the first time that is global administrator. If you don't have MFA and it gets attacked, there goes your account. Don't want that. So security defaults are enabled. This is what it's going to require. This is what you can experience when you set up your account for the first time. All right, so I'm going to go through this process, and on my device, which I already have Microsoft Authenticator installed for my other account, it's going to present me with a QR code. And that QR code I am the admin. Interesting. Well, didn't expect that, but maybe that's just a blip of the account being created. Sometimes in Microsoft land, fun things happen like that. So again, don't consider that, oh my God, it's broken. I'm not able to get in. Just refresh the page. Might be processing some changes on the back end. All right, so what I'm going to do now is on my mobile device, I'm going to open up my Authenticator app. And my Authenticator app is, I'm just going to scan the QR code. So we'll click next through this. And again, if you're familiar with this process, you know exactly what the steps are. So you next into the QR code, you'll hit that little plus sign on the Authenticator app and you'll scan the QR code. It'll generate the 6-digit code, and depending on your Authenticator settings, it'll either do, by default, I believe this will do the number match. So when I hit next, you'll see the number pop up. It'll hit a prompt in my screen. It'll allow me to punch that number in. It'll do a Face ID verification, and then it'll push it through to multi-factor. So then it'll verify, okay, this auth method is ready to go. And now we're into the tenant. Now we're doing stuff. So, oh, I lied. We're not completely into the tenant yet. So we can start using the business premium license, and then it has all the order information. So I'm just going to go ahead and quick save that. Well, I don't think I need to save that. That's not really any more information than what I would normally get. So no big deal. We'll just hit start. And it should bring me into admin.cloud.microsoft, which is the new URL for the admin center. And this is I believe it's going to default to the new view. I think this is the new view. It's not terribly different from the old view. However, you can see now I'm in my TCD Learn tenant, which is excellent. I can see the account. I can see all of that relevant information. tcdlearn.onmicrosoft.com, pointing to my technical contact, which is also me. And now I can go into billing, my products, add more products, and this is where I can look for that E5 license. So I'm going to come in here. It takes a little bit for this page to load, but I'm going to just click the all products, let this load, but I'm going to punch in E5 if it lets me type. So we'll do E5. And you can see the products available for TCD Learn. You can see the billing account, all of those other pieces of information. So here is what I'm looking for right here. Not Office 365 E5. That's just the Office suite. I want E365 the Microsoft 365 E5, excuse me. And then you can see the other bolt-ons. So these are things that you can add on as bolt-on licenses if you have a business premium and you want to test information compliance and governance, Purview content, insider risk management, e-discovery and audit, protection and DLP add-ons. So if you want to do data loss prevention policies, things like that, again, in the Purview tenant, you can set all of those things up. The enterprise mobility and security E5, all additional add-ons that don't require you to do the full E5. And the E5 contains a lot of these features, and you can see that here. The Office 365 E5 benefits, the Enterprise Mobility Security E5, Windows 10 entitlements, things we went through. Now, I can go in here and click Details, and I can purchase this license. And I'm going to cancel the other license, and I'm being a bit of a broken record, but again, just the process that I'm going through in my mind as I'm trying this for the first time. I've never done this exercise with the E5 licensing, so hopefully it'll let me do this. I'm going to do the E5. This contains Teams. You can see the different options that you have without audio conferencing. I want to test all of that stuff. I want to be able to test Teams. I want to be able to test and set up audio conferencing, just like I did my personal tenant, the ability to add that call-in number to your Teams meetings. So if somebody's not able to join via Teams itself, they can call into that number with a PIN. All of those things I want to have available. So I'm going to purchase the one with Teams built in. I want the subscription length to be 1 year. I want to pay monthly. And again, I know I'm going to use this, so it's something that I'm fine locking in. It's obviously I don't have, if I do monthly, you'll see the increase in total cost go up. So it's $58.85. Did it actually go up? I don't think it did. So I could do, subscription length of one. There it goes. Okay. So it made a liar out of me. So it does go up. There is a cost. So I'm going to do the 1 year. And then get a little bit of a discount for it. So it'll be $60 a month. Again, not inexpensive, but it's something that I think for me, as somebody that's developing these solutions, it's a worthwhile investment. For everybody's opinions matter on that. What you want to do. Okay, so we're gonna hit buy. Again, I took that off the screen because it pulls up personal billing information. I'm going to go back and process that. So again, what we're looking at, and I'll take a screenshot and throw it up so we can see that. Let me transition to the camera again. So I'll take a screenshot of that and put it on screen so you can see exactly what it's showing. Checking the billing information. So we're doing TCD learn. We're doing it to my billing account. It's going to be a quantity of 1. It's going to be a billed monthly 1 year subscription. It's going to renew in June of 2027. And then I'm going to place the order. And I sure hope I'm doing this right so I don't get crushed with 2 bills for a year. But I think that 7-day grace period is going to save me, and is why this is going to be able to work. And alternative ways that you can do this is you have a partner relationship, you have a distributor relationship. They would purchase that for you through a CSP, again, a cloud solution provider. You would do that through the Microsoft partner agreements and have that license set up if you had the accounts for enterprise. And just a quick note for those businesses that are looking at E5 and stuff, your threshold for business premium is 300 seats, and that's across all of the business SKUs combined, standard, basic, and premium. 300 seats is the cap per Microsoft. Now, can you buy more than 300 seats across those? Yes, technically, but if Microsoft, and in their own documentation, if they wanted to, they could pull the rug out from under you and you would be non-compliant. You would have to move to an enterprise SKU. So for anybody watching this that might be a business owner preparing that, if you have 300 seats of that, know that that's your cap and you shouldn't exceed that. You should start looking at the enterprise licensing suite to start moving into. So E3 would be your entry point there. Okay, good. That was odd. It kind of stuck at the page, and I'll bring my screen back here. It stuck at the purchasing page and didn't give a confirmation processing, but in fact, I can see that licensing here. Commercial direct, meaning I'm buying it myself, and then license-based, and then the pricing model. So what I want to do here is go into this account and remove it. I don't want to have the business premium account anymore. I don't want to have that assigned. So what I'll do actually first is we'll go ahead and assign licensing to my primary account. And since I only have one user, that's the user who's getting it. There we go. Subscription. Yep. So license Very good. That seems new. I don't know if that's new to this new portal experience, but it seems a little different from what I'm used to. Service plans are mutually exclusive. Let's see. Do I have to remove? Oh, available licenses 1. Well, let's see. Can I remove unassigned license? Assigned license. There we go. Okay, so I had to unassign my business premium. I had to assign my E5, so now I'm showing 1 of 1 assigned. It sent me an email notification that verifies that this has been set up. And now I can go into my products and remove the business premium. So we're going to go into those products. We'll see, can we cancel subscription? There we go. All right, so we're going to cancel now. And we haven't used it for anything, so there's no, loss there. And then moving to, let's see, another different business product. Let's just say that. All right, cancel now. And then the only thing I should be billed for, let's see. Let me cancel my license. Okay, so it's pending and processing. For whatever reason, this new portal experience is a little buggy. No, I don't quite like it. So I'm going to refresh the screen and see if it's processing the cancellation. It'll tell me. All right, so yep, so disabled. Renewal or expiration date is going to be 6/17. So if I click into this, it should show me the cancellation that it's going to, and then it'll just remove those licenses from the portal once everything's processed. So yeah, disabled, and then this should be fully canceled. Let's see. Yep, subscription is disabled. 30 days with prorated refund. Okay, all right, so everything's been canceled on that front, so I shouldn't get dinged twice, and I'll get a refund. I did get hit. You will get billed for the initial license to your card, and then you'll get billed for the E5 license, but then it'll send a prorated discount. And my anticipation is, and I'm not sure of Microsoft's policies, but my anticipation is, and even if I lose a couple bucks, it's not a big deal. But my anticipation is because I created this and did it all in the same day, that I shouldn't have a problem. But now, boom, we got an E5 license. So I'm pumped about that. And if we go into the user account, which is the only user in here, and one of the things I'm going to be doing immediately is setting up backup accounts and PIM and all of that stuff. But looking at the licenses, we can take a look at all of the different apps and features that are enabled with this. And it's just, Intune Plan 2 comes with all of that. If we go to the Intune, if I can type, .microsoft.com should bring me right into the Intune Admin Center. So now I can see that I have all of the tenant, the licensing. I can now use Intune. So it's ready to go. I mean, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to have this in here. I have the P2 license, the Entra P2 license. Where's that? Where do they hide that at? It's the AIP Premium P2. Yeah, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. Exchange Online Plan 2. What do they call it in here? The Entra Plan. There we go. Microsoft Entra ID P1, P2, which gives me all the cool stuff in Entra, like PIM, like access reviews, like all the identity governance features, all of this stuff, privileged identity management. I get all the keys to the kingdom with that fun stuff. So what's next? Well, I'm going to do some work on the back end to configure the account, configure backup account, not have my account privileged as global administrator the entire time, have some PIM configuration for that so I can get in the account, and PIM to those rights if I need it, if I need to do the administrative work. And then, yeah, just start to build out the tenant and start to play around with different things. One of the things that's on my to-do list for work is a tenant to tenant or business to business relationship and setting that stuff up. So that's why I wanted to create 2 tenants, because it gives me the ability to play around with some of that technology. Also keeps my personal tenant a lot cleaner. I can keep my devices in there while moving some of these other test devices. Like I got an iPad here, I got an Android tablet here, I got a Windows workstation here, I got a whole bunch of other equipment that I can get into Intune and test that whole experience. Plus, I'm building a virtualization lab so that I can spin up instances of Active Directory, set up Entra Connect Sync, migrate that to Entra Cloud Sync, see what it looks like. Another thing I'm looking to test out is multi-disparate domain synchronization using Connect Sync, multiple forests to a single Entra tenant, just to see how that works in environments where you have, kind of an M&A, merger and acquisition situation. You have disparate tenants. How can you get them into a single hybrid identity so you can leverage things like Azure Virtual Desktop uniformly, single sign-on to applications, identity alignment, all of that stuff. High-speed stuff, but certainly things that I want to be testing, and this gives me the ability to do that. And with an E5 license, so I get all the other add-on features within the Microsoft suite that I get to test and validate as part of it. And again, it's just one license. I'm not going crazy. I'm not, licensing the entire tenant. Every single user I'll create in here won't have those licenses, but I'll be able to play with those features. And again, it's for a testing environment, so I'm not too concerned. I won't keep that stuff in production to where it'll be out of compliance for licensing and all of that. But I'm rambling at this point. I'm pumped to get in here and test this. So I appreciate any of you who've watched the entirety of this video. If you have any questions or comments, or if I should have probably done it a different way, again, I'm all ears. I appreciate everybody who watches, who likes, who comments, and even those who subscribe. Grateful for it all. Grateful for the feedback. It's all an opportunity to learn. Every day is an opportunity to get a little bit better at this thing called technology, and that's my goal. How can I learn to do cool, fun, unique things in the space of technology that can help serve my customers better, and also just be a fun thing for me to learn and do and grow as an engineer? And that's all I'm about. So I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. We'll talk soon.